Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Maria. If you watch this video and you enjoy it, don't be shy, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for any future videos on narcissistic abuse recovery and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Today we are going to talk about C-PTSD, ADHD, and the correlation between going through long-term emotional abuse. So on this channel, I have made so many videos on complex post-traumatic stress disorder and healing from long-term emotional abuse and what that looks like and what that entails. Today, I want to talk about complex post-traumatic stress disorder after we have gone through a healing journey, how ADHD may be an underlying issue that you may be dealing with and you don't even know it, and how this all relates to why you went through the narcissistic abuse in the first place. So when we're talking about complex post-traumatic stress disorder, we're talking about an individual who has gone through long-term emotional abuse, whether it was through a parent, a caretaker, siblings. These are people who are emotionally unavailable to their children. Their children either heard very negative things about themselves, or maybe the child made up stories in their mind about why a parent was treating them the way that they were. If they were getting the silent treatment, the child could think in their mind, my parent is giving me this silent treatment, they're not talking to me because internally there's something wrong with me. I'm bad, I'm defective. And then the child creates stories in their mind and these narratives that they carry throughout their life. A lot of times getting into narcissistic relationships and love relationships later in life with people who are almost identical in the way that they treat them to their caretakers as children, because that is what they think that they deserve. So if you're someone that has gone through complex post-traumatic stress disorder, then you understand it is that negative, vicious inner critic. I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me. I'm not worthy. I'm never going to do better in life. Maybe you have self-abandonment, which it's the core wound of abandonment in childhood, but then as you come into an adult, you begin to people please and you want other people to be happy in your life. You put other people's happiness above your own, and that shows up as self-abandonment. Maybe you deal with emotional flashbacks, so you have a situation that happens in your adult life and it provokes an emotion inside of you that reminds you of something that happened in childhood. You're now back in that place in childhood, and your emotions that you're working out of when your logical brain is shut down and you're in your emotional brain is similar to the emotions that you felt in childhood. So you're having a flashback. Or maybe it's the social anxiety that you feel. You get into social situations and you feel like people are looking at you, people don't like you, everyone's mad at you, right? So when we go through the complex post-traumatic stress disorder, these are the things that we deal with. And this is just the beginning of it. You know, it's easy to just spout these things out, but when you feel them in your physical body, it feels like a life or death experience. And so when we have this complex post-traumatic stress disorder, we have to go through an extensive healing journey. There's a lot of tools that you can learn to basically strip off all of the false narratives that were placed on you in childhood and get down to the core of who you actually are, so that you can have some peace in your life. You know, love yourself for your flaws and get down to your true and authentic self. So that's kind of what it's going to look like if you're in that journey to learning how to accept your true and authentic self after long-term emotional abuse, and you're somebody who has complex post-traumatic stress disorder, whether you just relate to these symptoms or you were diagnosed. Because a lot of us, we just relate to the symptoms because CPTSD is not something that's in the DSM-5. It's not something that is normally diagnosed. So the healing journey begins, right? So if you're in this healing journey, let me explain to you a little bit about, say you're going through this journey and you still feel this low-level anxiety, you still feel the isolation, the tad of the social anxiety, some of the people pleasing, but you've been working on yourself for so long and you can't imagine why you still are dealing with some of these things. So let's talk about ADHD. So if we Google something like ADHD, which is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, so we Google it, the first bit of information that they'll give you is, in children, ADHD or ADD shows up as, that's because a lot of the research that has been done on ADHD has been done in children, and not just children, but little boys, right? So ADHD shows up completely different in adults, and it shows up completely different in women. So let me just read to you some of the things that they say can be symptoms of ADHD, okay? So frequent spaciness, trouble staying focused, lack of attention to detail, forgetfulness, difficulty sustaining mental effort, okay? So I want to explain to you what ADHD really looks like, okay? Being an adult woman who has gone through complex post-traumatic stress disorder, has ADHD, and how these things can relate, right? So someone who is an adult who has ADHD may deal with indecisiveness, may have a very strong intuition, having a lot of different projects, thinking that you can do anything, but having trouble starting, especially when it's a task that you don't find stimulating. Someone that is brutally honest, maybe at a fault. Being hyper-focused on things that stimulate you, chasing dopamine, and also beating yourself up for not being able to start different tasks or having too many projects going on in your life, and telling yourself that you're not good enough or you're lazy because of this. So this is how, and this is just the beginning of the iceberg, right? So there's so many different ways in which ADHD shows up in adults and in adult women especially that aren't even being studied yet, or just beginning to be studied, right? So when we are looking at all of these things and we're thinking that we went through this journey of healing from long-term emotional abuse, the narcissistic abuse, the negative inner critics, and the self-abandonment, and the social anxiety, and we still feel like there's something underneath that isn't right, I think it is worth, if you relate to a lot of these adult symptoms of ADHD, it is worth going to your doctor and talking to your doctor about possibly having ADHD. Do I think that everyone that has CPTSD has ADHD? No, I don't. But after working with clients for long enough, I see that there are some clients that are able to go through the long-term emotional abuse, heal from the CPTSD, and live very fulfilling lives. And then there are people who have gone through long-term emotional abuse, understand they have CPTSD, have worked very hard to overcome the CPTSD, but there is this low-level anxiety and dark cloud that they feel where they are still having this critic inside that has this imposter syndrome that makes you think that you are not doing enough in your life. And I think that a lot of that, and not to mention the burnout, I think that a lot of that has to do with undiagnosed ADHD. So when we're talking about people who are narcissistic and these emotional abusers that were in our childhood, or maybe they're still in our lives, and why they chose us to abuse, right? Because there are families where you have an abuser and the siblings have different experiences. Not every child is going to have the same type of childhood, even though they're in the same family. And especially when you're dealing with narcissists and narcissistic abuse, the children are not going to be treated equally, right? Because when you think of a narcissist, their children are an extension of them. If there is a child that is not representing a narcissist in the way in which a narcissist wants to be represented, they will make that child feel less than, right? They will make that child feel as if there is something wrong with them. Okay, so a lot of times when people have ADHD, they are brutally honest, right? I've done a video on being truth tellers. And when someone is a truth teller and they are brutally honest, they are not going to, let me put it this way. Do narcissists like honesty? Do narcissists look at people who are honest and say, wow, look at that person. They're so honest. I trust that person. No, because a narcissist is not someone who is honest. These are people who are gaslighters. A gaslighter is going to gaslight, right? They're going to make you question your reality. They're going to make you question if what you said was actually accurate. Is this actually something that happened? Or is it you misinterpreting what they're saying? So they're constantly gonna confuse you and make you guess things, right? When you're someone that has ADHD and has gone through complex post-traumatic stress disorder and has that strong intuition and is brutally honest, you're gonna be a truth teller. You're gonna be somebody who's going to question, and you're going to be somebody who's going to challenge someone who's narcissistic or an emotional abuser. And an emotional abuser is not someone that's going to want to be challenged or called out. You're going to be looked at as if you're difficult. You're difficult to deal with, right? But because of your strong intuition and you are brutally honest, you're not able to back down from the person that you are and from the truth that you know. This is why people with ADHD clash with people who are emotional abusers. The brutal honesty does not work with someone who gaslights. Okay, so a lot of the people that are abused as children tend to be these people that either are diagnosed or are yet to be diagnosed with ADHD as adults. I think it's all really interesting how, you know, when we start the healing journey from narcissistic abuse and we start learning what a narcissist is, and we look at the people in our lives, and, you know, it's like peeling back an onion, like, wow, they did this and they did that. And you find out, you know, if you're in a relationship, about the cheating or the infidelity, everything. It's like peeling an onion. Well, so is healing. Healing is like peeling an onion in itself. It's just there's a direct correlation between people who have been healing from complex post-traumatic stress disorder for a long time and they still feel these negative thoughts in their mind, and not just in their mind, but it's in their body too. They feel off and they have the mental fatigue and they have a hard time doing things that they're not stimulated by, but they're able to hyper-focus on things that they are stimulated by. Okay, so it's worth digging into. It's an interesting topic. I just want to leave you with this. If you are someone who has gone through complex post-traumatic stress disorder, long-term emotional abuse, if you are someone that has diagnosed or undiagnosed ADHD, there is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with being brutally honest. There is nothing wrong with having a strong intuition. Okay, there is nothing wrong with wanting to do things that stimulate you. There is nothing wrong with you. And I think that core wound of there's something wrong with me, to then understand there was never anything wrong with you, you just make emotional abusers angry. I love you very much. Thank you so much for watching my channel. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, give it a like, share this video with your friends so we can spread the word about complex post-traumatic stress disorder, long-term emotional abuse, and now ADHD. And as always, I wish you all the love in the world.